So the story for me starts back in Dublin when I was about 7 years old. Myself and my brother attended a funeral up in St. Matthew's Church. A famous Irish band, the brothers, their mother passed away, and we wanted to go because the magnitude of the amount of famous people were there was extraordinary to us. We ended up going to the funeral, which was only about 10 minutes away from our house. We wanted to see famous people. Being kids, kind of wanting to see that kind of famous person that you saw on TV a couple of nights ago was something big for us. So out of the blue, a priest came over. His name was Father Tony, and he introduced himself to myself and Jason, and from there he asked us if we lived near. We said yeah, about 10 minutes walk. He asked us if we wanted to ride back with him. He could drop us off. He mentioned that he used to do social camps church camps for kids around their ages. So Jason was 5 years older than me, so Jason was about 12. We got into his car, which was a nice gold-coloured Mercedes, and he drove us about 3 minutes of a drive down to our house. Ended up going in and meeting with my parents. My dad wasn't there at the time, but my mum was there and talked to Father Tony, and he mentioned that he would take us out for the day to the beach and so on. So my mother was a very religious person and ended up trusting this man straight away. From there he had arranged to come back and pick us up and go to different excursions around Dublin, around the beaches and whatnot. He took us over to his place of residence in Westland Row, where his church was. I didn't know then, being 7 years old, what was going to happen. When it comes down to it, you look back on how things at 7 you don't really know what's going on at all. For me personally, I only knew later on in life that was the person who sexually abused myself and my brother. It went on for a couple of months, and it wasn't until I was about 19 years old. I was playing professional soccer back in Ireland, or football as we call it, and played for Ireland all the way through, the ages of 14 all the way up to U20, till the story broke one day, and when I was living in a place called Sligo in Ireland, which is on the west coast. And my brother called me and he told me, he said, listen, this is going to probably be tough for us. We ended up meeting with the police a number of occasions to give our story, and basically after the story had broke, meeting with the police and going through all the trial, he ended up pleading not guilty to the sexual abuse of myself and Jason. Later, not only did we come forward, there was about 10 and 15 other people from my area in Dublin that came forward to give their account of what happened. When you look at your parents from what they're supposed to do as a child, you look up to them. They're there to protect you in all aspects of your childhood, and that didn't happen. So when I realized what was happening during the trial, it kind of made me hate my parents a lot, hate God, and I hadn't stepped in church for a number of years from the age of 14. I used to lie to my parents, tell them that I did go to church and I wouldn't go. In 2015, I met Adrian, who was on staff here at TFH, and she invited me up for Easter. I didn't care too much to talk to her about her faith. I had a lot of anger and a lot of hatred, and I had so many walls up that I just wanted to look after me and focus on me and only care about me. Music started, we took our seats, everybody was hands raised, singing along, clapping their hands. I didn't know what was going on whatsoever. I had no clue. No clue that that moment I was going to find God again. That moment that I would have a personal connection with our Lord and His Son, Jesus Christ. I looked up to the heavens and asked, like, what do you want? Why am I here? I didn't get an answer. Pierre and Marlies came out after the music had stopped, and they introduced themselves. Pierre talked about a plant and how you need to nurture that plant. It's the same way that you would need to nurture your relationship with God and Jesus. So now I can honestly say that He has found me, I've found Him, and now I have my personal connection. And I've healed my broken life of the past. I've stopped throwing stones and blaming people. I've learned to forgive, and not only forgive, but to be able to enjoy the fruits of our Lord and His Son through this church, the Father's house.